Kirk Douglas tells us about the nice guy Clint Eastwood, who was Hollywood's scariest movie star. Kirk Douglas was born with the name Daniel Danilovich on December 9, 1916 in Amsterdam, New York. His parents came from Russia and were Jewish and very poor. Douglas grew up in a house where his family believed in hard work, never giving up, and going to school. His dad collected old rags and junk and had a hard time making enough money for the family during the tough times in the early 1900s. This made Douglas really want to succeed no matter what. From when he was little, he promised himself he would do better than what his poor family had, and he built up strength and self-control that would shape his whole life. Douglas went to college even though his family had no money, going to Lawrence University, where he learned about acting and got better at performing. He later went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, where he learned more skills and got ready for a job that would last more than 70 years. Douglas's early years doing plays were filled with hard work and never giving up. Acting in small shows, taking tiny parts, and getting told no a lot. These hard times taught him to bounce back, which would later become something he was known for as he tried to make it in Hollywood, which was tough and sometimes mean. He first appeared in movies in the 1946 film The Strange Love of Martha Ivers. Douglas quickly showed he was exciting to watch and people loved him. His big break came in the 1949 film Champion, where he played a mean, power-hungry boxer named Midge Kelly. This role got him his first Academy Award nomination for Best Actor and made him someone important in Hollywood. People knew him for being intense, full of energy, and in charge. Douglas became famous for playing tough, determined guys who weren't always good. Over the years, he would star in many famous movies like Ace in the Hole, 1951, The Bad and the Beautiful, 195,220,000 Leagues Under the Sea, 1954, and Lust for Life, 1956, where he played Vincent Van Gogh and critics loved him. This made everyone think he was one of the best actors ever. Besides being a great actor, Kirk Douglas was a leader in making movies, fighting against how things were usually done and showing he was smart about business. He was one of the first big actors Toadman to make his own movies, so he could control what happened and have more power over the movies he made. His most famous example was when he made and starred in Spartacus 1960. This movie was not only a huge success, but it also helped end the Hollywood blacklist by openly giving credit to a band writer named Dalton Trumbo. This brave thing showed Douglas cared about doing the right thing, being honest, and being fair to everyone, proving that he did important things outside of just acting in movies. Kirk Douglas's personality was full of bouncing back and starting over. He beat serious health problems, including many heart surgeries, a stroke, and getting older. But he kept writing, acting, and inspiring lots of audiences and actors. His books about his life, including Thermagman's Son and My Way, tell us amazing things about the hard times, victories, and ideas that guided his life, showing us a man with incredible depth, bravery, and kindness. Kirk Douglas's personal life was as exciting and complicated as his famous Hollywood career. He first married Diane Adel on November 2, 1943, when both were just starting their careers. Dill was born in Bermuda and was an actress. Douglas and Dill dealt with the hard parts of living in Hollywood while raising a young family. They had two sons, Michael and Joel Douglas, who both became successful in show business. Michael became a world-famous actor and Joel became known as a movie producer. Even though they both did well and loved their children deeply, the marriage couldn't handle the stress of Hollywood and their differences, so they got divorced in 1951. This time in Douglas's life was very important and shaped how he thought about family, love, and how hard it is to keep relationships when you have a demanding job that makes you famous. After his divorce from Dill, people kept paying attention to Douglas's love life. In his book about his life, The Ragman's Son, he got engaged in the early 1950s to an Italian actress named Pierre Angeli after meeting her while making the story of Three Loves. 1953, they got engaged with all the romantic excitement that Hollywood romances had back then, but they never actually got married. Their relationship was still an important part of Douglas's early adult life, showing both how exciting and unstable love could be when you're a celebrity. Angeli was already a famous young European actress and had a connection with Douglas that showed his charm and the magnetic personality that made so many women like him. Even though the relationship didn't last, Douglas's life became more stable when he met Anne Bidens in Paris while making Act of Love. She was born Hannelore Marx on April 23, 1919 in Hanover, Germany. Bidens had survived the terrible things that happened in Nazi Germany, running away from her country and using her ability to speak many languages to work at a movie studio translating subtitles, a skill that would later make her seem sophisticated and worldly. When they met in Paris, it started a partnership that would last more than 60 years, which was amazing in a business known for relationships that don't last long. They got married on May 29, 1954, creating a marriage that combines personal love, working together creatively, and shared strength. In 2014, the couple celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary at the historic Ruston Mansion in Beverly Hills, proving not only their lasting love but also the amazing partnership they built over the years together. Kirk and Anne had two sons, Peter and Eric. Peter Douglas followed his father and became a producer while Eric became an actor. Something very sad happened to the family when Eric died on July 6, 2004 at age 46 because he took too much alcohol and drugs. This loss really hurt both parents and made their otherwise amazing life together very sad. Even with such hard times, their marriage stayed strong with good communication and respect for each other. In 2017, the couple let the public see their private life with the book Kirk and Anne, Letters of Love, Laughter, and Alfie Time in Hollywood. The book had decades of letters that showed not only how much they loved each other and their sense of humor, but also the honest, lasting friendship that kept them together through good times, tragedies, and Hollywood's always changing world. Even though Douglas looked like a faithful husband to the public, he was honest about his private life, including affairs with other women. These cheating incidents, which happened with several well-known Hollywood actresses, were never hidden from Anne, who had a European way of thinking about marriage. She said, "As a European, I understood it wasn't realistic to expect total faithfulness in a marriage," showing she practically accepted her husband's shading while still keeping the main part of their lasting relationship. This unusual understanding combined with deep respect for each other allowed their marriage to work well despite the complications and challenges in their lives. Kirk Douglas, the legendary Hollywood icon known for his powerful presence both in movies and in real life, once told us fascinating things about one of the most mysterious people in American movies, Clint Eastwood. Douglas, who had worked with and watched many of Hollywood's most notorious stars, said Eastwood was a true gentleman, which might surprise people who are used to Eastwood's guy image in movies. According to Douglas, Eastwood had quiet dignity and humble manners that were very different from the hard-edged characters he often played in films like Dirty Harry or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. When not filming, Douglas said, Clint had this calm, respectful way about him that you don't see in many stars. He treated everyone, crew members, assistants, even strangers, with real politeness. It's almost like he had a different feeling around him than the character he showed in movies. Douglas's observation shows us that both sides that often exist in Hollywood legends, the public image versus the private person. While Eastwood's movie character could be cold, calculating, and never stopping, Douglas' description showed us a man whose kindness and thoughtfulness were quietly but deeply felt by people around him. Douglas also talked about Eastwood's profession and love for his craft, qualities that made him different from any other actors of his time. Clint was always ready, always careful, Douglas said. Whether it was a scene that needed a dangerous stunt or a simple emotional conversation, he did it with seriousness and focus. He respected the work, and that respect showed in everything he did. Douglas, who also knew the hard work and pressures of Hollywood, seemed to see someone like himself in Eastwood, man who understood that talent alone wasn't enough to keep a career going in the crazy world of show business. Both had dealt with studio executives making decisions for them, fame that comes and goes, and the challenges of switching between different types of movies and roles. In Douglas's opinion, Eastwood's professionalism wasn't just something practical he had to do. It showed his character and proved he had integrity that often gets overlooked behind the glamour and show of Hollywood life. Douglas didn't avoid talking about the darker parts of Eastwood's reputation either, especially the mysterious and intense feeling that followed him throughout his early career. People talk about Clint being Hollywood's dark star, and there's truth to that. Douglas said there was an edge to him, a moody quality, a kind of quiet force that made him magnetic on screen. But what many didn't see was that this intensity was never meanness or thinking he was better than others. It was a depth, a seriousness about life and art. Douglas's detailed view challenges the simple stories often told about celebrity personalities, suggesting that the things which make someone interesting to the public are not necessarily sins of a difficult personality in private life. Eastwood's darkness was, in Douglas's story, less about his mood and more about the commitment and realness he brought to his work, qualities that made people admire him and sometimes not understand him. One of the most interesting parts of Douglas's comments was his thoughts in Eastwood's humility and down-to-earth nature. Despite his huge success, even when he was most famous, Clint stayed friendly. He never let the awards or the money change him. He had a way of listening, of making people feel important, even in a room full of Hollywood egos. For Douglas, a man who had seen countless stars rise and fall, this was a remarkable quality. It showed a deeper sense of knowing himself and personal ethics, a reminder that true greatness is measured not just by talent or fame, but by how you treat others along the way. Douglas's comments suggest that Eastwood's legacy is not only his memorable films and iconic performances, but also the quiet but lasting respect he earned from other actors who saw his character up close. In the end, Kirk Douglas's thoughts on Clint Eastwood give us a rare look into the man behind the myth, focusing on qualities often overshadowed by the movie characters audiences love. Douglas painted Eastwood as a man of integrity, humility, and quiet kindness, a gentleman whose private self was very different from the dark star image Hollywood put on him. Clint Eastwood, Douglas concluded, was a reminder that greatness in Hollywood is as much about being decent and honorable as it is about talent or box office success. For Douglas, knowing Eastwood personally let him appreciate this delicate balance, seeing past the too exterior to the man who quietly, steadily, and respectfully moved through the world of Hollywood while leaving a mark that will never be forgotten on both film and the lucky enough to work with him. Kirk Douglas, one of Hollywood's most lasting icons and a living legend of movies, died at the amazing age of 103 on February 5, 2020. His death happened at his home in Therick and beautiful neighborhood of Beverly Hills, California, a city known for the glamour and history of Hollywood itself. Douglas's final moments were spent with his family around him, showing the strong family bond he had built throughout his long life. His death marked the end of a teamy period in movies, as he was one of the last serving stars from the golden age of Hollywood, a time that made timeless classics and created the template for modern movie making. Douglas's long life and continued energy well into his 100-plus years showed not only his good genes, but also his toughness, discipline, and love for life that he kept until the very end. The funeral of Kirk Douglas was held on February 7, 2020, just 2 days after he died, at Fusewood Village Memorial Park Cemetery, a historic resting place that has long been connected with some of Hollywood's most iconic people. This cemetery, located in the heart of Los Angeles, reminds us of the city's rich movie history, and Douglas's burial there firmly put his place among the group of legendary entertainers. The service itself was reported lightened by close family, friends, and important people from the entertainment industry, all of whom came to pay their respects and celebrate a life that had been both very influential and deeply inspirational. Douglas' burial was especially intimate and meaningful as he was laid to rest in the same place as his son, Eric Douglas, supposedly died at a younger age. This final coming together and rest showed the depth of family love that Douglas treasured throughout his life. A love that went beyond the glitz and glamour of Hollywood to the very heart of his personal life, adding a touch ending to the family story. On April 29, 2021, Ann Douglas, Kirk's devoted wife, died at the age of 102, and had been a loyal partner to Kirk for decades, supporting him through the good times and bad times of his famous career in dealing with the hard parts of life in the public eye. Her death brought another chapter of the Douglas family story to a close, and she was then buried next to her husband, Kirk, and their son, Eric. This final resting arrangement showed the lasting unity of the family and the deep bonds that held them together even after death. The Douglas family burial plot stands as proof not only of the remarkable long life of its members, but also of the lasting love, loyalty, and strength that characterized their lives. In this way, the story of Kirk Douglas's death, his funeral, and the later burial of his beloved wife Anne captures their remarkable human story behind theme of a legend, a story defined by family devotion, long life, and a legacy that continues to inspire generations.